Welcome back to video 2.3. Let's get these templates customized. So we've been through where we've chosen our, you know, whatever's right for the project. So while I say that business friendly is often right, sometimes you'll have a client who shares a portfolio video. It may be whiteboard, it may be more contemporary, fit what they want. But I think for the most part, I always find that business friendly is best. So let's start customizing these templates. So I won't start going into the animation too much because we do animate the characters later, but let's say in a situation where we have a work scene, okay? So let's say work. And let's say that the scene that I really want to get is, let's think. Let's say that we want to put three employees on a sofa chilling out. So what I want to do here is there isn't quite a scene that fits that, okay? Yeah, there's not quite a fit. So what I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for a scene that looks like it's got space for me to add a sofa, where it's going to look pretty good. So it's going to be none of those. I'd say that's a pretty good scene. It's a pretty generic office scene as well. So instantly, I'm going to get rid of everything. I select an asset by either clicking or by holding the mouse and just dragging across like you'd select anything else. So then I look into my assets which we've been through. Here's all of our assets. I go sofa, use my search term. Now, different sofas are going to come at different angles. So if I select a few, I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so you can either have the sofa where it's front on, you can have the side sofa or the angle sofa. And when it comes to making characters sit down, let's keep things basic. Things start taking too long when we do different angles. Not needed. Let's do a basic sofa because that's what the requirements are. Now, I don't want to go too heavy into the animation, like I say, but I will just choose two characters to sit down, and I will do the animation, which obviously we'll go through in a video which is coming up. So I'll go sit, I'll make them sit down. And once again, you can obviously see they're at different angles, so we will go through this thoroughly, but we want them to be relaxing. So we go through our options, and let's go with, what do we have here? Okay, I want to go with, and look, you've got your little preview options, and like I say, we'll go through this in the animation section, but you'll see sometimes you go up and down a few times. That's okay. You want to make sure that you find the right animation. Now, this is interesting. Because in this situation, the character's actually angled. Okay, so the animation that I want to put in is angled. So when I'm customizing this scene, my first thought was let me oh, my first thought was let me keep this scene as basic as possible. Let's use a straight on sofa. But you have to be adaptable. It's a trial and error thing. So you say, okay, let's that maybe that isn't the best sofa. Let's go with a more side on sofa. Now suddenly we scale to fit the scene. We The thing with animation is you have to remember that it's a representation of real life. So if you ever don't know what something should look like or how to do it, think about what it's like in real life. Think about what looks reasonable and map that. So sofas are never floating, they're always on the ground, right? Um, People are never sort of hanging off them like that. Their bums are at the back, their feet are hanging off, not always touching the ground. So there we go. So at this point, we now have a cool sofa. But once again, think about real life. That looks a bit big. So what we want to do is we want to pull that down. We want to put it into scale, and we want to put it down there. And you can play about with that. You can say, now that's too small. Now that's the perfect size. It's based on your other assets. So when customizing the scene, I will take you through a little bit more the in-depth on animating characters, changing the colors. But what I want to do here is really show you bringing in assets and making it work. So let's say that we bring in a bedside table and we want a child standing by it. So once again, I'm going to search. I typically use search and not the categories, but that's personal. The other thing is, don't forget that you could bring in a contemporary table. If there isn't a bedside table that fits your need, as long as it doesn't stick out too much, there's nothing wrong with mixing styles. In this case, I think that our basic business friendly will be the right style. So let's stick with that. So for our bedside table, let's think about angles. So I know that's kind of a bit of a slanted angle, and this all comes from practice, right? This isn't natural intuition. This isn't anything except from just getting the reps in, getting the time in, and thinking, oh, look, tables have got to be on the floor. They've got to be even. Let's make it that. So you put your table in the corner, and we said that we wanted a child. So we will go into characters shortly, but let's just go into kid, and we'll see if it's cool. So it searches there, and then we'll scale. Once again, we've got our size there, we have our angle there, and if wanted, we can even do that up here. So we've got our rotation there, and we'll put that on 0, and we can flip our asset there and there, and we'll also go into that in the right click tutorial, and then we can choose our size from here. So if I know that the size has to be 50, then I can do it as such with our rotation in a very similar way. So that is how we can start manipulating scenes, start bringing assets in, start bringing characters in, and really making the scene our own. The last thing I'd say on it is the background. So all a scene is, it's a background and props and characters, okay? So we removed all the props and characters. So essentially all the scene is a background. Now here you can actually change your background. So you can either go to a location whereby it's a boxing ring or oh, I haven't seen that one. That's a cool one. So like I say, they bring new templates out the whole time. So you get to pick your background, and then you also, if you'd rather have a motion graphics piece, you could just choose something like this. And in this case, that's actually an animated background. So I can preview it there. The way you can tell is either it has a microscope, which is just, it's a static, or it has a play button, in which case it is a video. Um, and it'd be for a very specific animation. So we'll go over the animation shortly. But if I want the character standing there, we'll make him talk, for example. Then I may just want him on a plain background where he's describing some sort of a complex system, and then it's quite a good fit. So that is how we start to manipulate backgrounds, assets, and I guess character scale and rotation. We've covered a lot.